The door slammed so hard the frame shook, and Daniel's voice thundered through the house like a storm rolling in. Amara, I'm talking to you, get back here. His footsteps pounded down the hallway. But the woman he was chasing wasn't running away this time. She stood frozen, trembling not from fear, but from exhaustion. And when she turned, her face paled as her twin sister stepped out from the kitchen doorway and grabbed her arm. Don't go back in there, the twin whispered, her voice low, sharp, and steady. Not tonight. Amara swallowed hard, eyes glossy, her body slumped from both emotional and physical weight. But when her twin sister's sleeve slipped, she saw the bruise on her arm, deep purple, shaped like fingers that clamped too hard. That was the moment everything snapped. Her twin sister pushed her gently toward the living room. Go upstairs. Pack a small bag. Please don't make this worse, Amara whispered back. He's just stressed, he didn't mean. Stop. Her twin's voice was so firm that Amara's eyes widened. He hurt you. And he's going to learn exactly what that feels like. Daniel appeared in the hallway, face flushed, jaw tight. But when he saw the wrong twin standing there, her back straight, eyes steady, he slowed. Oh, it's you, he muttered, rubbing the back of his neck. Where's my wife? Upstairs, she answered flatly. She needed space. That's between me and her, he snapped. Move. She stepped forward instead. Make me. For the first time since she met him, Daniel blinked and took a step back. Something about her posture, fearless, unshaken, didn't match the timid woman he was used to pushing around. He opened his mouth to bark another order, but she cut him off with a cold smile. Try talking to me like you talked to her. I dare you. Daniel froze. And that was the moment the plan formed, not fully, not perfectly, but sharp and clear like glass. She wasn't going to let him touch her sister again. If he wanted someone to yell at, someone to intimidate, someone to control, he would have to go through her instead. And that was going to be his personal hell. She waited until he stormed off to their bedroom, muttering curses, before she hurried upstairs to find Amara stuffing clothes into a small bag with shaking hands. Where do I go? To Mom's, her twin replied. Stay there until I call you. Amara grabbed her hand. He'll be furious when he realizes I'm gone. That's the point, her twin said. Let him be furious. At me. Amara's voice cracked. You're not actually thinking. Yes, she said, stepping closer. We're switching places. Amara's mouth opened in shock. No. No, I can't let you. You need to let me, her twin whispered fiercely. You're exhausted, emotionally, physically. And he's gotten away with this, because you're too kind to stand up to him. I'm not. Amara's eyes filled again. He wasn't always like this. He is now. Her twin squeezed her hand. Let me handle him. There was a long silence, broken only by the sound of Daniel slamming drawers downstairs. Then Amara nodded slowly. They changed clothes, simple things like hoodies, pajamas, hair tied back. Identical faces, identical voices, identical mannerisms. But the fire in one twin's eyes was completely her own. When Amara slipped out the back door and disappeared into the night, her twin turned and took a slow breath. She walked toward the bedroom, toward the storm, toward the man who had broken the gentlest person she knew. Daniel was still pacing when she entered. Where did you go? He snapped without looking up. I told you we weren't done. She shut the door behind her deliberately. We're not, she said. Trust me. He frowned, momentarily thrown off by how her voice carried a hardness he didn't recognize. What's with the attitude? An equal response, she said. To yours. He scoffed, waving her off. You're being dramatic. You made me look stupid earlier, walking away when I was still talking. You yelled at me in the middle of the hallway, she shot back. Loud enough for the neighbors to hear. Well, maybe if you acted like a wife. She stepped closer. Finish that sentence. Daniel stared at her. She stared right back, unblinking. The tension between them tightened until he finally looked away. Just, don't do that again, he muttered. She smirked. We'll see. That night was the first time Daniel felt something he'd never felt toward his wife before, uncertainty. Because she wasn't shrinking under him. She wasn't apologizing for things that weren't her fault. She wasn't tiptoeing around him. She wasn't whispering fearfully or avoiding eye contact. She wasn't her. And he was about to find out exactly why. The next morning, she woke before him, on purpose. She made breakfast, but not gently. Pots clanged, cabinets slammed, and when he trudged into the kitchen rubbing his eyes, she flashed him a bright, sarcastic smile. "Morning, darling. Sleep well." He squinted. "Why are you so loud?" "Oh, I'm sorry," she said, flipping a pancake with unnecessary enthusiasm. "Is the noise bothering you?" "Yes," he said, annoyed. She hit the pan on the counter. "Good." His head jerked. "What's your problem today?" "Just matching your energy," she said sweetly. He shook his head and sat down, confused. "Where's my coffee?" "Where you left it yesterday, inside your imagination." He scowled. "Are you trying to start a fight?" She placed the pan in the sink with a loud bang. "No. If I wanted a fight, you'd already know." Daniel blinked again. There was something deeply wrong with what was happening, and yet he didn't know how to stop it. The wife he used to control suddenly had teeth. And claws. And a voice that cut through the air like a blade. As he got dressed for work, she leaned against the doorway. "Oh, and honey?" "What?" he grumbled. "Take the bus today," she said. "Why?" "You used the car yesterday. I need it more." "For what?" "To breathe air without you in it." Daniel's jaw dropped. "Who are you today?" She walked up to him slowly. Too slowly. Close enough for him to feel her breath on his cheek. "Guess." He stepped back instinctively. And she smiled. His hell had officially begun. Daniel left the house looking over his shoulder twice, as if expecting Amara to jump out and stab his ego again. And when the door finally shut behind him, the twin exhaled a long breath, pressing her hands against the counter to steady herself. She wasn't scared, not of him, but the weight of what she'd started was settling in. Her phone buzzed. A message from the real Amara. "Are you okay?" Did he notice anything? She replied, "Not yet. Focus on resting. I've got this." She put the phone away. Then she smiled. If Daniel thought yesterday's attitude shift was unsettling, he was nowhere near ready for what came next. By the time he returned from work that evening, the house smelled like candles and disinfectant. Too many candles. Too much disinfectant. The living room was spotless, unnaturally so, like she had scrubbed away not dirt but memories. Daniel walked in cautiously, sniffing the air. "What's going on?" he asked, loosening his tie. "Spring cleaning," she said cheerfully. "It's November." She shrugged. "Your attitude smelled like February. Thought I'd balance it out." He blinked slowly as if trying to decode her meaning, but she didn't wait for him to catch up. She tossed him a folded towel and pointed toward the hallway. "Take a shower," she ordered. "Why?" he frowned. She walked up to him, lifted his sleeve, and sniffed. "Because you smell like a stressed-out goat." Daniel stared at her, mouth hanging open. "You're unbelievable." "And you're unbelievable and sweaty," she added. "Upstairs. Now." He muttered under his breath, but he went. The moment he entered the bathroom, she locked the bedroom door behind him and got to work. She pulled out sticky notes, bright neon ones. And she plastered them everywhere. On his mirror, "Stop yelling." On his closet door, "Try kindness." On his work shoes, "Apologize more." Inside his wallet, "This marriage is not your punching bag." By the time he came out of the shower, towel around his waist, the entire bedroom was a field of fluorescent judgment. He froze, scanning the walls. "What is this?" he demanded. "A reading exercise," she said sweetly. "You know, for emotional literacy. You're out of your mind, Amara." "Funny," she replied, "because that's what you used to say whenever she cried." He stiffened. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Exactly what you heard." He walked toward her slowly, anger rising like heat from a stove. "Are you trying to start something with me?" She stepped forward calmly until they were inches apart. "No. I'm trying to start something in you." Daniel clenched his jaw so tightly his neck muscles twitched. "I don't know what has gotten into you, but..." She tapped his forehead. "A mirror. That's what got into me." He pushed her hand away, but there was hesitation in his movement, like he wasn't sure how forceful he was allowed to be anymore. She tilted her head deliberately. Be careful, she warned softly. I won't swallow it like she did. The words hit him harder than a slap. He took a step back. I never touched you. You didn't have to, she replied. Your words did the damage. But I never. He shut his mouth abruptly and looked away. His shoulders dropped in a moment of rare, uncomfortable vulnerability. I didn't think she took it that seriously. She did, the twin said. Every single time. Daniel's jaw worked as he swallowed hard, trying to process something he had ignored for months. Dinner's on the table, she said. Eat. Then we talk. He didn't argue. Maybe because he didn't know how anymore. At the dining table, she poured him a glass of water, then sat across from him, elbows on the table, chin resting on her hands. Daniel ate quietly at first, stealing glances at her like she was some ticking bomb. You're different, he finally said. Good different or dangerous different? He hesitated. Both. She smiled. Correct. They sat in that strange silence for a while until she crossed her legs and said, We're going to start something new. He raised an eyebrow. What now? Affection, she said brightly. He nearly choked. Affection. Yes. Hugs, kisses, sweet compliments, every time you raise your voice. He stared at her. That makes no sense. That's because you're thinking like an angry man, not a clever one. She stood, walked around the table, and wrapped her arms around him tightly. Very tightly. Like a boa constrictor made of sunshine and stubbornness. He froze. What the Amara, let go. Nope, she said cheerfully. You raised your voice by 12%. Hug penalty. I didn't raise my voice. She hugged tighter. He gasped. Okay, stop, fine. Fine. She finally released him. Daniel stared at her as if she were an alien. This is insane. This is therapy, she corrected. Amara style. I'm not doing this. You already did, she said. And you'll keep doing it. He stood abruptly. I'm going upstairs. Great. I'll tuck you in. He whipped around. No. No tucking in. You raised your voice again. She ran up behind him, wrapped her arms around him again, and hopped onto his back in a piggyback-style hug. Daniel stumbled forward with a startled yelp. What is wrong with you? Hug penalty. Get off. No. They struggled all the way to the bedroom door, Daniel trying to shake her off, her clinging like a determined koala with a personal vendetta. At one point he tried to peel her arms off, and she bit his shoulder, not hard enough to injure, but just enough to shock him into submission. Ow! Are you crazy? Crazy enough to protect my sister, she said in his ear. He froze again. She slid off his back and looked him dead in the eyes. That woman loves you more than she loves herself, she said softly. And you treated her like she was lucky to breathe your air. Daniel didn't answer. He opened the bedroom door and walked inside without another word. She let him go. But she smiled. Because tomorrow would be worse. And the day after that? Much, much worse. Daniel barely slept that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he felt that same crushing hug squeezing his ribs, that same voice whispering in his ear, crazy enough to protect my sister. He tossed and turned until dawn, groaning into his pillow. Downstairs, the twin was already awake, stretching casually in the living room like she hadn't spent all of yesterday dismantling his ego. She heard his footsteps creak against the hallway floor and smirked. Showtime. Daniel descended the stairs, hair messy, eyes tired, shoulders slumped. Morning, he muttered. She didn't reply. She walked right up to him and wrapped her arms around him again. He stiffened instantly. No. No, 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 stop. Why are you hugging me this early? You sighed aggressively, she said. Hug penalty. That's not a thing. It is now. He tried to pry her off. She tightened her grip. For God's sake, Amara, let go. Kiss your wife good morning, she said into his shoulder. What? No. Kiss, she repeated. This is ridiculous. Kiss. He groaned like a man giving up pieces of his soul and reluctantly leaned forward to peck her cheek. She turned her head at the last second. Their lips touched. Daniel jerked backward like he had been electrocuted. What are you doing? Checking your commitment to affectionate conflict resolution, she said lightly. I wasn't. You're welcome. He stared at her in horror. What does that even mean? That your lips are surprisingly soft for someone this angry. Daniel stormed off toward the kitchen. I need coffee. No, she said behind him. He froze. What do you mean no? I hid your coffee. You hid why would you hide my coffee? Because caffeine makes your temper worse. Herbal tea only. He inhaled deeply, nostrils flaring. Where's my coffee? She pointed at the ceiling. Somewhere in this very house. That's not an answer. And yet it is. Daniel ran both hands through his hair. I don't know what game you're playing, but I'm not doing this today. He moved toward the door. She stepped in front of it. Move, he demanded. No, she replied calmly. Move. Raise your voice again. I dare you. He swallowed the words he wanted to yell. You're not leaving this house until we talk, she said. Daniel shook his head. I have work. You have a marriage, she said. Start showing up for it. He froze again. She had him pinned emotionally, and they both knew it. Sit. I don't. Sit. He sat. She pulled out a notebook and a pen, flipping it open. We're making a list. A list of what? Things you've done wrong. Daniel scoffed. Wow. We're doing this. Yes, she said, because you never let her say any of it. He stared at her. Something in his shoulders drooped just a little. Fine, he muttered. Let's get this over with. She didn't hesitate. You shout too much. You belittle her in arguments. You don't listen. You make decisions without her. You guilt-trip her. You invalidate her feelings. You intimidate her accidentally on purpose. You make her feel small. You treat her kindness like a weakness. Daniel flinched at the last one. That's not fair, he muttered. It's true, she replied. And you know it. His voice rose. Look, I get it. I messed up, okay? She leaned back. Say that louder. No. Hug penalty. She lunged forward and wrapped her arms around him again. Daniel yelped, sliding backward in his chair, arms flailing. Stop. 3 more seconds, she said, squeezing tighter. No, Amara, I can't. 2. Let go. 1. She released him. Daniel gasped dramatically. This is emotional torture. She shrugged. You started it. He stared at her, chest rising and falling, caught between confusion and disbelief. What happened to you? He whispered. You weren't like this before. I grew a spine, she said. And horns, he muttered. She grinned. You'll see them soon. He groaned and pushed his chair back. I'm going to get ready for work. Great, she said. I'll drive you. He blinked. Why? To make sure you go. Last time you threatened to call in sick when you were mad. That was one time. Get your bag. She grabbed the car keys. He sighed. She smiled. 30 minutes later, they were parked outside his workplace. Daniel reached for the door handle, eager to escape this bizarre new version of his wife. But before he could leave, she grabbed his shirt collar, pulled him back, and kissed his cheek loudly. Have a loving day, sweetie, she said in a bright, obnoxious voice. His coworkers in the parking lot turned and stared. Daniel's face turned bright red. Why did you do that? Because embarrassment builds character. Amara. You're welcome. He scrambled out of the car like it was on fire. She honked twice, loudly, and blew him a kiss out the window. Half the office saw it. Perfect. Her phone buzzed again. A message from the real Amara. Is he behaving badly? She replied, he's behaving like a confused squirrel. Perfect conditions for training. Amara responded with a crying laughing emoji. The twin drove home humming. She felt powerful, righteous, almost guilty, but not enough to stop. Daniel was going to learn softness one way or another. But the next morning, everything changed. Around 3:20 a.m., she woke to a faint clicking sound. Very faint, just enough to scrape the silence. She sat up slowly, eyes adjusting. The house was dark. The sound again. Click. Click. She got out of bed silently and followed the noise to the living room. And there, near the bookshelf, she saw Daniel crouched down, adjusting something small and black. A camera. A hidden camera. Her heartbeat slammed against her ribs. Daniel looked up slowly, eyes narrowing. So, he said. I was right. She didn't breathe. He stood and took a step toward her. You are not my wife. When Daniel burst into the living room and demanded answers, Adrian didn't flinch. He stepped in front of the twins as though instinctively shielding them. Daniel stormed further inside, slamming the door behind him. Emily stiffened, and Amara felt her sister's hand tremble. Adrian's jaw tightened, but before he could speak, Daniel shouted, "I came here to get my wife." Enough of this. Get your things. Emily didn't move. She didn't even raise her head. She just whispered, her voice thin but steady, "No." Daniel blinked. "What did you just say?" Amara stepped beside her, lifting her chin defiantly. "She said no. She's not going with you. This has nothing to do with you." Daniel snapped. His eyes darted between the identical faces, confusion flickering for a moment. "You, whatever game you're playing, stop it. Emily is my wife. Then why can't you even tell us apart?" Amara shot back before she could stop herself. Daniel flinched. The truth hung in the air like a slap. Adrian crossed his arms, expression darkening. "She's not going anywhere. Not until the police finalize the report and determine she's safe." Daniel spun on him. "You don't get to interfere." "I already have," Adrian said. "You don't get to harm her again." Amara saw it, the exact second Daniel realized the room was no longer under his control. His face twisted with fury, and he lunged. But he didn't get far. Adrian caught him mid-swing and shoved him back into the wall with stunning ease. "Don't," Adrian warned, voice low. Daniel froze, breathing hard. His bravado was thinning with every second he saw Adrian standing there like a brick wall. But then Daniel smirked. "So this is your plan? Hide her away? Have her pretend she's the victim? She's dramatic. She always has been. She bruises easily. You don't know her like I do." Emily made a small sound, a strangled, painful laugh. It startled everyone. She stepped forward, eyes wet but fierce. "You don't know me at all." Daniel sneered. "Oh, shut up, Emily. You're embarrassing yourself." Amara suddenly stepped between them. "Touch her again. Say one more thing like that. I dare you." Daniel scoffed. "You're just a duplicate. You don't matter." Amara smiled coldly. "We matter enough to ruin your life." Daniel blinked. It took a full second for her words to settle. Amara felt something electric pulsing through her, this unusual blend of adrenaline, fury, and a strangely liberating power. Emily took a breath, then another, straightening her spine. "You're not taking me back," she said quietly. "And you will answer for everything you've done." Daniel's bravado evaporated. He looked around, suddenly cornered. "This isn't over," he muttered. Then he pushed past Adrian and stormed out. When the door slammed behind him, Emily crumbled. Amara and Adrian caught her before she hit the floor. She cried, not the silent tears from before but deep, gut-wrenching sobs that had clearly been trapped for years. Adrian held her gently as Amara stroked her hair, whispering, "You're safe. You're safe now." That night, Emily couldn't sleep. Neither could Amara. They sat on the balcony wrapped in a blanket, the sky dark and silent around them. Amara nudged her. "You were incredible today." Emily shook her head. "I was terrified." "You still stood up to him. That's strength." Emily swallowed. "Amara, I don't know who I am anymore." Amara leaned her head on her sister's shoulder. "Then we'll figure it out together." Adrian stepped out quietly. "You two okay?" Emily wiped her eyes but nodded. Adrian crouched beside her, placing a soft hand on her knee. "The police called," he said. "Your restraining order hearing is in 3 days." Emily nodded mechanically. Amara noticed her sister's shoulders stiffen. "He'll fight it," Emily whispered. "He'll twist everything." Adrian shook his head. "Not this time." Emily looked down. "Why are you helping me? You don't even know me." Adrian hesitated. Amara noticed the way he exhaled slowly before speaking. "Because someone should have helped you long ago. And because I can't stand people who hurt the ones they claim to love." The night air settled around them. Amara watched her sister's eyes soften, her guard lowering inch by inch. For the first time, Emily looked safe, maybe even hopeful. In the following days, Amara helped Emily gather evidence. Photos, messages, medical records. Witness statements from neighbors who had heard arguments. Adrian helped too, driving them everywhere, offering support, making calls. One evening, Emily said, "You're spending too much time helping me. Don't you have work?" Adrian smiled faintly. "I own the company. I can take a few days." Amara raised a brow. "You own it?" He chuckled. "Surprise?" Emily smiled, an actual, soft smile that reached her eyes. It made Amara unexpectedly emotional. But things escalated fast. On the morning of the hearing, Daniel showed up at the courthouse with a lawyer and a confident smirk. Emily squeezed Amara's hand so tightly her knuckles whitened. Adrian placed a calming hand on her shoulder. Inside the hearing room, Daniel tried everything: gaslighting, lies, manipulation. He cried fake tears. He even told the judge, "She bruises herself during panic attacks. I've tried to help her for years." Emily trembled, but didn't fall apart. When the judge asked if she wanted to speak, Emily stood. Her voice shook at first, but then it steadied, growing stronger with every sentence as she described years of fear, isolation, broken promises, and escalating violence. She told the truth with raw pain and astonishing courage. Amara felt tears burn behind her eyes. Adrian looked stunned and proud. At the end, Emily removed her scarf and revealed the fading but still visible bruises. The courtroom fell silent. Daniel's face drained of color. The judge didn't hesitate. Restraining order granted. Effective immediately. Daniel shouted, "Emily, you can't do this. You're my wife." Security held him back as he lunged toward her. Amara stepped in front of her sister instinctively, glaring. Emily whispered, "I'm not yours anymore." When they walked out of the courtroom, Emily collapsed into tears again, but this time, they were tears of relief. Tears of freedom. Amara held her tight. "You did it." Emily nodded against her shoulder. "I finally did." Adrian approached, eyes warm with admiration. "You were brave. Incredibly brave." Emily gave a broken laugh. "I couldn't have done it without you two." Amara hugged her again, whispering, "We're not done. We will make sure he faces everything." Adrian nodded. "I have friends at the district attorney's office. His behavior in court alone is enough for charges." Emily blinked, stunned. "Why are you going this far?" Adrian hesitated again. Then he said softly, "Because I care. More than I expected to." Amara caught the look between them, their eyes holding a quiet understanding, something tender and new. For the first time, she wondered if maybe this wasn't just about rescue or protection. Maybe something deeper was forming. Back at the lakeside house, Amara finally let out a long breath and said, "Okay. What now?" Emily looked around the home she'd been hiding in. "I want to live. Actually live. Not survive." Adrian smiled. "Then let's start now." They spent the next few days helping Emily settle into a new apartment nearby. Amara decorated it with soft lights and warm colors. Adrian brought a potted plant he claimed was impossible to kill, making Emily laugh. Healing wasn't instant. Emily had panic attacks. She cried some nights, woke up shaking on others. But she was no longer alone. Amara slept over often, and Adrian visited, bringing food, books, and gentle conversation. One evening, Emily said, "I never thought I'd feel safe again." Amara hugged her. "You deserve everything good. Everything loving." Emily looked at Adrian across the room as he assembled a lamp incorrectly for the third time. "Maybe love isn't meant to hurt," she whispered. Amara smiled. "Not the real kind." Weeks passed. Daniel was charged with multiple counts: domestic assault, violation of protective order, and resisting officers during arrest. Emily's case gained traction fast because Amara had helped gather undeniable evidence. One afternoon, Emily received a call. She listened quietly, then exhaled shakily. "He accepted a plea deal," she said. "He's going away for a long time." Amara hugged her. "You're free." Emily turned to Adrian, eyes filled with something luminous. "I'm free," she repeated. For the first time, she sounded certain. Later that evening, they sat on the balcony of her new apartment, the same blanket from Adrian's lake house wrapped around them. Amara stepped inside to grab drinks, leaving Emily and Adrian alone. He shifted slightly. "I'm proud of you, Emily." She touched his hand lightly. "Adrian, I never expected someone like you to walk into my life." He met her eyes, voice quiet but sure. "I'm not going anywhere." Emily leaned into him, resting her head against his chest. The moment felt fragile and safe at once. When Amara returned, she saw them and laughed, but her eyes were soft. "Finally," she teased. "I was wondering how long it would take." Emily rolled her eyes, but smiled, another real, glowing smile. Healing continued. So did love, slowly and gently. Emily began taking classes. She joined a support group. She started painting again, something Daniel had forbidden. Amara hung each painting on Emily's wall with pride. One day, Emily told Amara, "I think I'm ready to tell my story, so no one else feels alone." "That's brave," Amara said. "And perfect." And that's where this story will eventually meet you, the viewer, because Emily began sharing her journey online. Her story of pain, survival, sisterhood, and rediscovering love resonated deeply. She ended her first video with a message Amara wrote, but Emily delivered. If you're watching this, please know love should never feel like fear. And if you're trapped, you're not alone. There is always help. There is always hope. And in the final seconds, Amara popped into the frame and added, "And don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you want more real stories, because trust me, we have a lot more to tell." Emily laughed, the sound soft and full of life. A new beginning had finally arrived.